Eric, you were counting us in magnificently. They're very impressive, yes?
Very, very
5,
so.
4, 3, 2, 1. This tells you, this beautiful woman tells you it's Thursday and it's 8 o'clock or thereabouts. Joanne Callan.
Good morning, Ron. How are you?
I'm very well. Speak up. It's
Good.
not like you to whisper.
No, it's not like me, but it's a nice quiet day today.
It's a, yeah, are you in a quiet mood?
Feat. Yes, I am.
What creates your mood in terms of whether you're loud or quiet?
Oh, who knows? I suppose it's the general run of how your morning goes and the ambience.
Yeah.
I've just moved house this week. So,
yeah, where did you move to?
Yeah.
My publisher is up there, just Drummond T.
Yeah.
He's George Kingsnorth, and he's Gullion Media.
Oh, yeah.
So he'll do your book for you when you're ready,
When
and you
I'm
should
ready
get your
to do my
book going,
yes,
shouldn't you?
Get started on it at some
By
point.
time, you
Yes,
should.
by time I
make
had
it
one.
happen.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you? It's very, very good.
Yeah.
And
So there's a book on us all. So.
well, you know, there are many books. The stuff you've been talking to me,
Yeah.
you know, Conversations with Rowan, or call it whatever you want.
Yes,
But I mean, there's
so.
wisdom in what you're coming out with, and in some sense it could be captured within the pages of a book.
Yeah. Well, we'll put that one on the to-do list.
I think so.
Get it, yes.
That's
Get
a
moving on
bucket
it.
list
Yeah.
for life.
Bucket
you know.
list for life.
Will you do a parachute jump? And is that part of your
No,
bucket list?
never really appealed very much.
No, I was the same.
No, I don't.
I had a friend.
I
Yeah.
mean, no way one or the other. It doesn't. It's
Well,
not that. It's not that I wouldn't
yeah.
from a fear perspective.
No,
Brendan,
no.
It's just no. It's just
I
not
wouldn't
something
from a potential damage perspective, because I had a colleague in RTE, Colm Connolly, and Colm did one. Well, this is now 40 years ago, and he was coming down, and he went into a pendulum swing on the way down. Now, a pendulum swing is all right when you're 50 yards up.
Yeah, but
When even you're 30 yards up, it's fine.
Yeah.
But when you come to 5 yards above the ground and you're up here,
Yeah.
and the pendulum is taken, he broke his hips, and there was all sorts of
Yeah,
awfulness
there's
for a long time.
I think there's certain things should be left to birds, and flying's one of them.
I think so. I really, really, really think so.
But not to say. I mean, I think a lot more people are doing kind of skydives and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, birds as well, I
Yeah,
think.
I think so.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
I had the most interesting experience this morning. Well, shall I share it with you?
Yes, share it with me.
I come in here, as you know, writing the news between kind of 4:45 and 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, I take myself down to Grounded and have a coffee. I'm sitting there, looking out the window. There's a gentleman looking in at me. And he's kind of interesting. He's smiling at me. He finishes a cigarette. Barry looks at me, and I look at Barry and Grounded, and we think, Sure enough, the man comes in. The man talks to Barry. He's from the south of Ireland, wondering if we have, if Barry takes euro, blah, 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 blah. And it provided me with, what followed, provided me with my thought for the day.
Oh.
It's very, very short.
Okay.
Shall I
I'm
tell
delighted to
you?
hear
And
it,
you'll get
yes.
the feeling of it.
Yes.
Lord, I thank you for opening my being to the joy of life this morning, for the beautiful sunrise over Carlingford Lough. Thank you for the wisdom to have taken the time this morning to engage with Tommy, who left Dublin on the 5 o'clock bus for Newry. Part of the head of Rowan, Lord, and you know all of Rowan's head pretty damn well, didn't want to be bothered. For the coffee and Grounded at 6:30 was to help in the business of relaxation, having been writing the news here at Destination Newry during the previous couple of hours. But you saw my reluctance, Lord, and you opened my eyes and my spirit onto the presence of the man from Dublin. I used to work with Pat Toner. He was a councillor, said the visitor on market day. You worked with him at Simon. I knew immediately. I did, said the man. And now, asked the man from the early Dublin bus to Newry, I go to a mental health club in Dublin, said the man. Barry poured another coffee, I paid him, and we both realised, Barry and I, that we had learned much from the man of Dublin who came to us on market day. Never judge.
That's it.
You know, I was going, I don't want to talk to anybody. Go away, give my head peace. And then I engaged. And it's in the act of engaging
that's where
that something started to happen.
Yeah,
That's
it. We have to take these opportunities when they come, don't they?
I think so.
But we can
And
very quickly shut them out.
The golfers or the hurlers will talk about being the sweet spot on the club, that ding and the hurt thumb. But that's the sweet spot of existence.
Life, yeah.
When you go the road you didn't want to go, and suddenly something occurs. I think it's well worth doing. Well, how's the programme?
Yes, good. All's good.
What's happening?
On this week's show, we have Ingrid Dara. And
Who Ingrid Dara?
You may remember Ingrid was in with me a couple of months ago talking about relationships. So we're following up on that today.
What sort of relationships?
Just relationships in general. So relationships with ourselves, romantic relationships, and a lot of our relationships in life really play themselves out similarly. I mean, they
you
can
mean
be
play out, finish, end, done,
no, well,
finito,
or their story.
deceased?
No, not necessarily, but we can, if we've challenges maybe in romantic relationships, sometimes we can find that those same challenges can find their way into work relationships, and that the sort of the issues are within as well as externally. So we'll be talking about relationships, because obviously our relationships with ourselves and with others are one of the things that impact most on our well-being.
Yeah. I think it's a huge thing to have a good relationship with yourself.
It's so important.
Where you're chilled and you're not performing to any agenda.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the biggest issues that I would find with a lot of people, and I suppose you always find these with yourself as well, is that sometimes we can just be too hard on ourselves and we forget that we're human. Mm-hmm. So we have this idea of having to be perfect all of the time before we do anything. And if we waited till we were perfect to take opportunities or take chances, there'd be so much. If everybody waited till until everything was exactly perfect, and there would be nothing. There'd be very little would happen. So sometimes we have to allow ourselves to just be human and make mistakes.
And human is flawed.
Yeah.
Always.
There's no perfection.
No, there is no perfection. Yeah. Actually, the only perfection is the perfection of spirit. Yeah. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Because I see the passage of people beneath my eyrie, and I look down, not on them, but I look down at them, and I see people going about their business. And some of the ugly things I see are women and men who are believing in physical perfection, sticking their chests out, or with bulging bits and pieces from the feminine point of view.
Which can happen from the male point of view
as well. But that's what I said, they're doing their thing. And there's a physical ugliness about it, but where there's a magnificent beauty, and I've seen this, where an elderly couple, maybe the man in a wheelchair, maybe the woman in a wheelchair, and the man's pushing the woman, and the woman is out of it, or the woman's pushing the man, and the man's out of it, and she looks up at him, or he looks up at her, and they don't need to say anything.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah,
there's just the sweetness of
the saying
wonderment.
That we're not human beings on a spiritual journey, we're spiritual beings on a human journey.
I think that's true.
I think that's, we're learning, and by nature being human means that we will make mistakes, and we will call wrong shots, and we'll do things that maybe aren't exactly what we would have liked to have done or whatever. But if we allow ourselves that permission to not be perfect, it means, generally speaking, I find that it means I'm much less hard on myself, but I also have less expectation of people around me as well, which is often one of the things that we can, if we allow it to, hurt us the most, because we expect other people to be perfect as well, and when they're not, then that's when it's all about expectation, really.
Was it the Algonquin Indians in America who said that one must walk in the other man's moccasins before making judgments? And there's a lot of truth in that, you know.
And then, or the translation through is, walk a mile in my shoes before we judge.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But even without the judgment part of it, there's the part of it that we maybe allow people's feelings or different things to get in on us, because we expect that person to be perfect too.
I know what you're saying.
So today's show is all about relationships, and then this evening we've a busy night in the Canal Court. So
tell me about that. I'm going to go tonight.
Yes,
I believe I will.
That would be lovely. It would be lovely to have you there. I think it'll be a really enjoyable evening. So we've Richard Moore, Ryan Cinnamon, Andrea Begley, and some musicians for a lovely 2 hour of entertainment. So it's not a night that's going to drag on. Or
7 to 9.
Till 9. Yeah.
Well, sure, that gets me into bed all right.
Yeah,
I'll be fine at that.
7 to 9 and back into bed. And as I said, for anybody watching in, it should be a really lovely, with some lovely musicians lined up as well, and great conversation with Richard Moore and Ryan Cinnamon and Andrea Begley. It'll be
sounds good to me.
And all three who can speak very much about just what we've been talking about is human spirit and the support that they've received at times that when life threw them challenges, but also the spirit of themselves in order to overcome all of that adversity. So
now you've moved to another location. You've moved home.
Yes.
And you're now in the shadow of Callan.
Yes, very much so, yes. And it's the most spectacular view. And I mean, the weather that we've been having this week has allowed it to be even more spectacular. But
coincidentally, you've moved very close to Callan Media, George Kingsnorth.
Yeah.
Dare I suggest to you that you've moved closer to your publisher?
Possibly.
And when is your book coming out?
Well, we'll definitely put that one well and truly on the list.
I'm glad. I thought you might have been heading towards back burner.
No.
Because you have a lot to say. You have a lot of wisdom. Keep it simple. Write it simple, and get your lovely message out there to people, and people will grow from it. And you could do one of these books that when people sort of rub the page, they get
a nice smell. Yes.
A nice smell. That would be very good from you.
That would be good. Yeah. Although unfortunately, a lot of that comes from chemical smell. But
wow, no, we don't do chemical smells.
No, we don't do chemical
Never,
smells.
ever.
No,
no, we reject chemical smells. We don't have that. What about the woman who, she was a writer. She got awful abuse on Twitter for killing a rabbit, skinning it, and cooking it, and eating it.
Oh, okay.
I think
something that we've been doing.
I think we're all right to be doing, I think.
Well,
it's all right. If you need to eat meat, it's very honest to clean it and to kill it and clean it yourself and whatever.
Who knows? But yeah, I think isn't that the world that we're in at the moment, is that everything is so public. I mean, if that had happened 5 or 6 years ago, the world would not have known that she'd killed a rabbit and skinned it or done anything.
Imagine telling people. But funny enough, for a long time I would put stuff up on Facebook.
Yes.
And I was doing it. And then because I prioritized other things here in the early morning over that, I stopped doing it. And people actually said to me, "Where is it? Why are you not doing it?"
Yeah,
blah, 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 blah.
Last week, yeah.
And I'm now kind of thinking, I'm sort of doing it again, because I've 10, 12 years of Rowan's Rambles, for God's sake.
Yeah, and I think as well, it was a nice way for people to know what was coming up, and then they could decide whether, because the majority of people, myself included, probably I'm saying the majority, but of a certain age group and a certain fit, one of the first things that they'll do in the morning is check Facebook. Yeah,
they do that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
checking Facebook
first thing in the morning to see what has happened overnight. So
wow.
So in order to engage with that audience, Rowan, we'll have to get you back on to.
It will happen.
I think the rambles is the important part as well, because I thoroughly enjoyed the one that I read last week.
Really?
Right, yeah.
What was last week's about? Was it?
There was about the couple in Cork.
Oh God, Bill Parfrey.
Yes.
Goodness gracious.
And again, we're talking about human spirit as well. But that came out. But I think, I do think people like to know what was happening in the mornings and things like that as well.
Well, you have empowered me with your kind words.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And did moving take a lot out of you?
Thankfully not. I had lots of nice friends that helped me and supported me with that, so that's always good. And it went very smoothly, to say the least. The good weather helped as well.
Of course.
I moved last weekend, so the weather was lovely, and that made life a lot easier. And I did it gradually. I've sort of been gradually moving over the last 2 weeks, and got the last pieces and bits and pieces out yesterday. So it's been smooth enough, yes.
I wish you well.
All back. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on. And I look forward to seeing you this evening.
I hope so.
Yes.
Yeah.